Hello, welcome to Toast Time. This week I am making Norwegian potato lefse, which is a flatbread similar to a tortilla, but it's made with potatoes. I'm peeling the potatoes right now, and then I'm going to cube them and put them into boiling water with some salt until they're fork tender. Now, that means basically that you can stick the fork into it and it slides off nicely, but it's not mush. All right, cut this into cubes. I also have salt for the mixture, flour, which goes in after it sits in the fridge and cools down, heavy cream, and butter. This just came up to the boil. I'm going to add the little bit of salt. The salt in the recipe is separated. I'm going to add this here and start adding these in. I always keep a little container for my trash so I don't have to be cleaning up a bunch of peels or whatever it is that I'm working with. And this is nice and easy to just toss into the trash can. All right. This is supposed to boil for about 12 minutes. Then we take it off of this. You can mash it by hand, or if you have a ricer, you can use your ricer, but you want the potatoes to be very smooth. Then we add in the butter and the heavy cream, and we refrigerate it for 2 hours so it gets nice and cold. And then we're going to mix in the flour to create our dough. But this is the first step, and I'll see you after these are done boiling. Timer went off for the potatoes. I'll turn this off and double check. So I'm going to take it and poke one. Yep, it's sliding right off, but it's not turning to mush when I do it. So put the potatoes in. This is a ricer, and it has all the little holes that the potatoes get pushed through so that it's nice and smooth. But I'm going to get this first amount pushed through. And it looks, if you can see through the steam, it looks like rice. It's a ricer. All right, push that, open it up carefully, get all of the stuff that didn't go through back down into that mesh area, and put the rest in. And since this is still hot, we're going to put the butter right in and mix it together so it'll melt that butter. And the cream and salt. Almost there. One more that kind of tried to sneak away. There we go. All right. It's through. Scrape it down. Have the butter that I cubed. I did it kind of small cubes, but it's going to melt nicely. Put that in. Push it around. And you don't want to work the potatoes too much at this point. You activate a lot of starch when you do that. And I'm just right now trying to melt that butter in. I'll cover it up with some of the potato, let it sit for a second. Let that heat melt the butter and then mix it in. I'll do that one more time. And I'll sprinkle in the salt. Like a lot of salt. Then again, we are adding flour after it comes out of the fridge and cools. That might be why there's so much salt. Let's make sure all the butter melted. There we go. Now I'm going to add the heavy cream. Mix it all up. Cover it with one of the shower caps and put it in the fridge for about 2 hours. This is the consistency. Getting that heavy cream mixed in. Smells good. All right. This is a little bit loose for a dough, obviously, but we're going to be mixing in the flour after. Looks like really good mashed potatoes. Okay. Holds its shape, but is pretty smooth and moves nicely. All right, going in the fridge. This sat and cooled in the fridge, and while it was in there, I went to go check on it, and I kind of pushed it up against the sides of the bowl so that it would cool faster. Kind of the same idea as when you have something in the microwave and you make a hole in the center, so the cold or the hot can kind of go into the center and cool it a lot faster. All right, consistency is this now. I'm going to add in the flour. And this is going to make it into a dough instead of just really awesome mashed potatoes. Okay. Slowly incorporate this. I'm going to tip it out onto the counter in a second and knead it for a couple of minutes. And that will give us our dough. All right, I'm going to tip this out. This right here is extra flour in case I need it for the countertop, especially when I'm rolling it out. All right. Make sure you don't have on any jewelry because it'll get pretty gunky with this. Oh, feels a lot nicer than I thought it would. And it smells really good. I'm just going to keep working it. It's definitely getting to a dough stage here. And it feels really nice. And now that flour has absorbed the moisture, and you can see it is really nice consistency. I'm going to keep going for just a minute with this here. All right. Now we divide this in half. Okay. Roll it into a log. And cut this into 8 pieces. We're going to get 16 total, but each log is cut into 8 pieces. I had my pan hot. I turned it off though because I knew I had a lot more to do. Still warm, but I'm going to turn it back on. Line these up. Do about half, and then half, and then half. These are cooking individually on the stovetop, and I don't need to make sure they're all exactly the same size. Like with rolls, you want to make sure they're the same so they cook evenly. But with this, you don't need to. Okay, making a ball and then flattening it a little bit. We're going to roll these out. This dough is really easy to work with. I'm not going to grease the pan. I'm going to wait and see how the first one goes. I think the dry heat's going to be better for this, but I also don't want it to stick since it's potato. We'll see. All right. And a little bit of flour. Like that. Start in the middle, out. Ooh, it is sticking a little bit. Bench scraper to the rescue. Try and get a round shape. Okay. I think that's going to be good. I can pick this up. Okay. There we go. And have a little sizzle. And then it'll be time to flip. Let's see. Yep, we have some brown spots, just a little bit. Ooh, it's pretty. Okay, this one on. A little bit of sizzle again, it's great. Make sure they're down. Ooh, it's puffing up a little bit. I'm excited for this now. Okay. Gonna keep cooking these and I'll come back for the taste test. So a couple of things I've learned, a couple tricks. One is I keep adjusting the heat, and I'm starting it really hot, putting the dough on it, letting it cook, and then kind of turning it down when I flip it over. I'm doing probably 90 seconds on the first side, flipping it over, doing it for maybe a minute, then flipping it back over, because then I start to get some really nice air bubbles inside of it. It's going to be really hard to show you, but kind of like with the tortillas where you're looking, or pitas, where you're looking for that air pocket, I'm getting that coming up. Let's see if I can do this. So now I'm going to turn it down and flip it, and it has the brown spots on it, which is perfect. And then I'm going to let it sit and cook on that side, but then I'm going to flip it over again and kind of do the little spatula press, and I'll get some of those air bubbles. So it's going to be nice and light. Let me get these off of here, and then we'll do a taste test. The other thing is, don't pre-roll them. This I kind of just smushed out with my hand, but if you do, then no matter how much flour you have, it's going to stick to your countertop. Instead, just wait until you are about ready to put them on, and then you can roll it out. Let's see if I can show you here, kind of. I don't know if you can see it, but it is getting those air bubbles now. It's moving, and it's separating inside, and is making a really nice, light kind of bread. Do the kind of the spatula press around it and see if I can get more of it to open up. If not, that's fine, but it does add a nice little bit to it. And I'm going to get this one going. Get the flour. And I'm not being shy with the flour now. I was initially, but not anymore. I'm going to turn up the rear burner up a little higher. I'm on 3. 3.5 maybe out of 10. And this is gas stove, and it gets very hot. So 10, it would be insane. And that top burner is actually the smallest on the whole stove. I usually use the other side of the stove, but I wanted to be able to be on camera. Okay, this one over here. And then we'll do our taste test. Sizzle, sizzle. And since this is a really soft dough, if you have any tears in it, you can still adjust it when you lay it down. And do that. Turn this bottom one on a little higher. And let's see how these are. So they do come off of the pan like lava. They're so hot. So be careful. Nice, that tore nicely. I don't really think I can show you too much, but it has nice brown. Smells like potato pancakes. It is so tender from those potatoes and all of the moisture in them. It's like a cloud. Traditionally, these can be eaten with meats, with strawberries, whipped cream, cinnamon. They can be used for sweet and savory. And I think they're awesome. That amount of salt was perfect. I was a little nervous when I was putting it in there, but it's really on there. And I think it would be really good with some whipped cream and some strawberries, kind of the salty and the sweet. These are awesome. And they were really easy. And the dough was fun to work with. Definitely give these a try if you're interested. They're really good. Thank you for joining me on Toast Time, and I'll see you next time.